guys, this is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge in the Rocky Mountains of Canada. Today we're looking at the Schrade SCHF37. It's a coated blade, TPE handle. You've got an extra choil up here for your hand to sneak up. Roughly 6-inch blade. I'll give the full dimensions in the video on the screen or later on, whatever. Comes with this nylon type pouch. A nice snap to hold it in place, plastic liner on the inside so that you're not going to cut it up. It's got a leg tie, so when you put it on your belt, tie that to your leg so that it doesn't flop around. Nice sneak up choil, TPE handle scales, some jimping on the back by the, I guess pre-thumb ramp area, if you will, but sort of thumb area. And then your last few fingers have jimping on the belly handle part. Lanyard hole, fills the hand, hollow grind, nice big bushcraft kind of style blade. Just slightly too small to be an effective chopper. You can do some very minor chopping with this, I guess. You don't want to use a hollow grind as a chopper. Hollow grinds aren't designed for that kind of pressure. If you want to do some chopping, you want to get a full flat grind. Hollow grind is okay for a bushcraft knife, and I think this is 1095 steel, and it's going to work pretty good for me. You can see all the dirt on here already. I've played with it for a while, so stick around for the full review of the SCHF37. Well, before you see that, sorry about that. Before you see the rest of the review, let me introduce the sheath. It's got a Velcro strap, so it's easy to put on and off your belt without having to take your belt off. There's a snap retainer for the blade, for the handle actually. There's an extra piece of sheath in there, a plastic sheath inside the nylon fabric. I think that's nylon, well, whatever material this fabric is. Inside there's a plastic sheath. And what we have in here, in this extra little pouch, it comes with a ferro rod and a striker, because the coated blade does not function that great as a striker on its own. It's got a 90-degree corner, but it's got a thick coating on it. So Schrade went ahead and supplied a proper striker along with a ferro rod, and you've got a diamond stone as well. There's a little loop up here so you can put a thinner some kind of cordage on here if you want to. And there's some elastic in this pouch, as well as some hook and loop. I guess some people are going to call that Velcro. And there you go. That's what you get in this kit. So stick around for the full review, won't you? Yeah, you can't really see what I'm chopping, can you? So I was just chopping through this stuff. A few whacks, got it right off. Yeah, you can see it's got a pretty good edge on it. The jimping here, it's a little bit warm, I'm finding, right on the thumb right there. It's nice to have jimping there for some grip, but maybe it's got a little more than it needs, or perhaps this is one of those knives that you should be wearing little leather gloves with. Not little leather gloves. We're not making a porno. My wife's asked to laugh. She's holding the camera. Yeah, you saw how long that was just a few seconds ago. It just chews right into this stuff, no problem. See, it's got a little controlled cutting. Not bad. We'll do a few more tests in a few other places. Let's do some light chop test with the SCHF37. Not pretty good. Of course, all the movement of this wood makes it harder to chop. And this is a dead tree that's been around for quite a while, but you can see it chops pretty good. And check out the backgrounds that we get to play in. Very nice. Having fun in the Canadian Rockies. So let's try some batoning with the SCHF37. So you can see what I'm going through right here. Going through about 3.5, 4 inches. Starting at a knot right at the top. Not a big one, but it's there. Very good. That's a good strike. Yeah, you can see it wanted to cleave itself right there anyway, so let's go across the grain. There you go, all the way through. That's about the most aggressive I would ever baton, but had to do that for the tests. Normally, I would just baton, an inch, inch and a half, just to get off enough wood to start some kindling. Because once you got the fire going with some kindling, you can keep the fire going with some big pieces of wood. Like, you don't need to make a whole bunch of small pieces, unless you want to make a really hot, small fire quickly. So there you go. This guy works great for batoning. Works good for slicing, cutting. Oh, I don't think I demonstrated feather sticks. I think I forgot to demonstrate feather sticks with this guy. Let's grab a piece of wood. There we go. Well, let's get started. For somebody who's taking their time, they can do a good job. I rush my feather stick making too much. And even though I'm rushing it, check that out. It's easy to make some nice thin feathers to make yourself a fire. You can break apart some kindling that way too. Works fine. I think I'm off camera again. It's a very versatile outdoorsman knife. Great size, comfortable. I'm liking it quite a lot. The only thing I'm not liking so much about it yet, and I've mentioned it before, is this jimping. A little too aggressive. Easy to take care of that issue. If it's too aggressive for you, you can easily just file that down and smooth it off, round it off a little bit. Because you can take the TP handle scales off, clean that up a little bit, good to go. Of course, you'd be taking some of the coating off, but not a big deal. This isn't a super custom knife. This is a guy that wants to work hard with a knife, and he doesn't want to pay an awful lot, just wants a good knife at a good price. That's what this does. I just set up this shot blindly. Hopefully I'm on the screen. This is the diamond pad sharpening thing. And if you need to touch up your edge, I think you do it. I do it a lot like as if this was a strop. You just follow it along, get the angle right, and just slide it along. Just take your time with it and try to keep that angle right. And the other side, same thing. One big rule to learn early on that you should learn with knives is take care of your knife, do the maintenance on it and sharpening before it is super dull. If you wait until it's all the way dull, you're going to have to take off a whole bunch of steel. It's going to take longer, easier to make mistakes, harder to get that angle just right. So there you go. This stone, you can do it by holding the stone and moving the stone, or holding the stone and moving the blade. It's a nice little touch to add on. So let's see if we can make some sparks from the SCHF37 ferro rod and striker. Remember, the knife is coated, so this striker comes in very handy. It's all steel, and so you can strike with any surface you want to try. Whoa, that went flying almost behind me. As you can see in here, no problem to get a fire started with this. I'd expect them to put in the right stuff, and they did. I did find on my SCHF37 that they didn't use any kind of glue, any adhesive or epoxy or anything. It's not a big deal, but I think it'd be great if they would have just used a tiny bit of epoxy, some kind of adhesive for the plastic here and the ferro rod, just to help keep it together, because I was striking on it, and after striking a few times, it fell out. Thankfully, I didn't have a problem finding it, and it's not a big deal. It's something I can easily fix myself, but it'd be great if they would do that at the factory for me. I forgot to mention earlier that this knife also comes in a version with a micarta handle scales in sort of a white and gray kind of pattern. It's really cool looking. I'll show you a picture of it. But if you want the micarta handle scales, you get a stainless steel blade with XL37 MOV. Schrade does really well. The factory that makes their XL37 MOV does really good heat treat, and they do a really good job of it. I recommend it if you want stainless. Schrade's XL37, recommend it. So if you want stainless steel, you get micarta. If you want micarta, you get stainless steel. If you want carbon steel, you get the TPE handle scales. And if you want the TPE handle scales, you get carbon steel. You know, it's just the way it is. Let's talk about the sizes of everything. We've got a cutting edge, so from fingernail to fingernail right here, of 6 1/4 inches. The blade thickness, 6.1 millimeters. I think the 0.1 millimeters comes from the coating being 1/2 millimeter thick, so you get 1/2 millimeter on each side. That is 0.24 of an inch, so it's just under 1/4 of an inch thick. Blade itself is more like 7 inches from my fingernail there to the tip. The entire length of the knife right here is 31.4 centimeters, 12.37 inches. The handle length, so I'm talking about the front of this TPE to the very end of the pommel, is 13.6 centimeters, 5.3 inches. The grip area, and now I'm talking about just, between those fingernails again, it's just the best way I can explain it, is 10 centimeters, 3.9, very close to 4 inches. The thickness of the steel, and then this one it's easy to see because it's the part that is, the steel color, and then it turns black. So right where it transitions into the black coating from side to side, I suggest if you want a chopping knife that has a hollow grind, that you get it at least 1.5 millimeters thick. They come close to 1.5 millimeters. They have it at 1.28 millimeters thick, the edge behind the grind. That's 0.05 inches. This knife actually has survived very, very well. I've had it now for almost 2 months. I've used it like crazy. I've tried to clean it off. It doesn't clean off the best, so be prepared for that. If you've got one of these knives with this coating, you're going to use it and it's going to get dirty. It's going to start to wear. You can see some steel through there, so some of the coating is going to wear off. Be that as it may. Big, thick chunk of steel, good thickness behind the grind. It's not, like I said, not great for chopping, but good for chopping. Nice belly here. Decent strength on the tip of this blade. I've had a lot of Schrade knives. This 1095 steel is good, and it's got a good heat treat. This edge has lasted very well. It hasn't gotten dull on me quickly, or more quickly than it should for the steel that it is. So overall summary, I think this knife is a definite recommend. The only thing that I would do, or I'm going to do actually, not would do, is I'm going to take these handle scales off and just take down a little bit of this aggressive jimping on the back. But it's just a little too aggressive for a lot of work because I just do a lot of stuff bare hands. I don't always use gloves. Actually, I rarely use gloves. The only other thing that I would change on this knife is I found myself almost never using this choil. And so that's a personal preference kind of thing. Some of you guys would really love to use this choil an awful lot. I didn't find myself doing that. So I'd like an extra inch of cutting edge. That'd be great. So the exact same blade, just change the cutting edge, move it back a bit more. And I'd like this knife even more. That's a small thing because you do have a lot of edge. The only time I did really choke up was when I was making feather sticks. And, for that, I'd rather have the comfort of this choil here. So there, that's a small thing. Nice lanyard hole for when you're going to do chopping. Get that lanyard on there, wrap it around your hand so the knife doesn't come out. I'm not going to tell you what to buy or what not to buy. I'm just trying to give you all the information that you need to make your choices. If you buy this knife from my Amazon.com link, I will get a tiny bit of a commission, but I've got links in the description below for 4 or 5 different stores in the United States. And I think about 2 or 3 different stores in Canada where you can get this knife. And this knife will easily cross the border into Canada if you buy it from the United States. It passes all our laws, so there's no risk to importing this other than, the duties and fees and stuff. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, all that good stuff. And remember, when you get the knife into your hand, to cut towards your chum. That is your friend, and not your thumb. Unless you really want to cut towards an enemy, but I don't recommend it. Jail time, all that kind of stuff. Bye-bye for now.